Console gaming is obviously a huge staple in American culture, but there's a lot more to it than PlayStation good, Xbox bad. For example, did you know that in 1996, Apple released a console called the Pippin that sold for more than triple the price of an N64 at the time? So open G Fuel gamers, because for the next 10 minutes, we're going to be learning about the history of console gaming. We begin our journey in the early 1970s, when bell-bottoms were the garment of choice and people still thought disco was cool. An electronics company by the name of Magnavox released the Magnavox Odyssey in September of 1972. People could now get the captivating experience of Pong in a crisp 160 by 200 resolution and a powerful 64 bytes of RAM. Yep, bytes. But hey, it was the 70s, so as the first ever console, it had to be a big success, right? Wrong. It sold roughly 390,000 units worldwide and was considered a commercial failure. So in the following years, nothing really happened in the world of console gaming, until 5 years later, when the original Atari was released, the Atari 2600. With double the amount of RAM and cartridge-based games, this console was a modern gaming beast. Well, not especially, but it was the #1 best-selling Christmas gift of 1979, and by 1982, it had sold over 10 million copies, solidifying it as one of today's most popular consoles, currently clocking in at a whopping 30 million units. By this time, gaming consoles had secured their place in many American homes. But this would not remain true, for the American video game crash of 1983 arrived. This was a brief period when video games just weren't considered cool anymore, and people just stopped buying them for the most part. Of course, this would not last long, and when video games made their resurgence, it would not be forgotten. This was because of the third generation of consoles. This mainly consisted of two extremely iconic consoles, the Sega SG-1000, and that's right, the NES, baby. The NES, also known as the Nintendo Family Computer, sold roughly 100,000 units on opening day, and over 2 million in the first year of existence. It also introduced us some extremely iconic games like Duck Hunt, Super Mario Bros., The Legends of Zelda, Kid Icarus, and Metroid. The Sega Genesis, the Game Boy, and the Super Nintendo were all released shortly after. The Game Boy was Nintendo's first ever handheld gaming console, and it even had some pretty good games like Pokemon Red and Green. Sonic was introduced in 1991, and 1 year later, we finally got one of the best Nintendo games of all time, Super Mario Kart.
It's Super Mario Kart Funny Car Madness! Only on Super NES! Turn the track into a giant mud pit! Or burn rubber on ice, wood, or asphalt! Mix it up with the big boys! See Bowser and his Bigfoot-dropping truck! See Yoshi's go-kart really go! Mushrooms, banana peels, turtle shells! Dynamite! Check your rear view and make him eat dust! Or go into battle mode and ruin his day! 2 speeds! Fast and way too fast! It's 2-player fun on the split screen! Only for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System! Now you're playing with power, superpower!
Mario Kart has obviously been a big part of gaming history, but then 3 years later, in 1995, something even bigger happened. The release of the Sony PlayStation. Technically, it was released 1 year prior in Japan, but we don't talk about that. The PlayStation was extremely successful, selling over 100 million units. Within a few years of its release, it was the most popular console on the market. Despite its popularity, we only saw a handful of memorable titles early on. Although, we did get Doom, FIFA, Crash Bandicoot, and Resident Evil. The PlayStation was pretty much the only successful console released in the 5th generation, seeing as the N64 sold 30% worse than the Super Nintendo, and the Sega Saturn sold almost 80% worse than the Genesis. But even though the N64 sold so terribly, it still had some amazing games, such as Mario Kart 64, and even Super Smash Bros. 64. And since I talked about it in the intro, I guess I'll mention it now. The Apple Pippin. The Pippin was released in 1996 and discontinued in 1997. So, yeah. That's what we in the biz like to call a success. It had 18 games in America and only 2 in the UK, which is a little bit lacking, especially in comparison with the PlayStation 7000. In 1998, Sega released the Dreamcast, which is a pretty underrated console. I mean, there aren't a lot of great games for it besides Sonic Adventure, but to be fair, Sega never really had many iconic titles. The Dreamcast was unfortunately Sega's last console, and the controllers were peculiar to say the least. Soon came the turn of the century, the 2000s, baby. All kids had a huge binder of Pokemon cards, SpongeBob was in its prime, and Gary Giggles from Spy Kids had the ultimate haircut. A bunch of great consoles were released, including the GameCube, Game Boy Advance, and the PlayStation 2, which was the most successful console of all time, selling over 150 million units. And one more. The original Xbox. This thing was a beast. It had amazing graphics for the time and just the greenest main menu. It looked like Ben 10 in the form of a gaming console, for God's sake. In my opinion, the early 2000s were the best years for gaming. We got Mario Kart Double Dash, Smash Melee, Silent Hill, Call of Duty, Halo, Doom 3, The Sims, and GTA San Andreas? Are you kidding me? But these games were nothing in comparison with what was about to be released in 2006. The Wii. It was unlike any console we had ever seen before. Its purpose was to appeal to everyone, not just gamers. It used an extremely intuitive controller called the Wiimote. It almost entirely relied on motion controls, having a minimal amount of buttons and no joysticks. The main menu was designed to look like a wall of old CRT television screens, and there was a built-in character creator that you could easily spend hours on. The console was originally released with a copy of Wii Sports, a game to demonstrate what the Wii motion controls were really capable of. It came with 5 unique sports: baseball, tennis, boxing, bowling, and golf. Wii Sports is actually the 4th most popular game of all time, only being beaten by Tetris, GTA 5, and Minecraft. The Wii was a great console, despite the fact that it was seriously underpowered. In terms of hardware, it was essentially a souped-up GameCube with motion controls. But the Wiimote wouldn't stay the same for long, because in 2009, Nintendo introduced the Wii Motion Plus, an add-on for the Wiimote that had even more advanced motion controls. To showcase the new Wii Motion Plus, they released a sequel to Wii Sports called Wii Sports Resort. Instead of 5 sports, it had 12. Instead of decent motion controls, it had great motion controls. But the Wii wasn't the only console to utilize motion controls, although it was the first. Sony and Microsoft released the PlayStation Move and the Xbox Kinect respectively, for their newest consoles, the PS3 and the Xbox 360. The PS3 was the least successful PlayStation by far, selling nearly half as many consoles as the PlayStation 2. The Xbox 360 was alright, and nothing more. At the time, the Wii was the top dog. So Nintendo had to capitalize on the success. In 2012, they made the sequel to the Wii, the Wii U. And it tanked. It was the second worst selling Nintendo console of all time, barely surpassing the catastrophe that was the Virtual Boy. In the following year, Sony released the PS4, which was extremely successful, even surpassing the Wii in sales. Microsoft released the Xbox One, which sold pretty badly, but still easily quintupling the sales of the Wii U. It wasn't clear if Nintendo planned to make another console after the failure of the Wii U, but in 2016, rumors about a console called the NX started to spread. This would later become the Nintendo Switch, a cross between a handheld console and a home system. It was extremely lacking in terms of power, but it sold fairly well. Sony released the PS5 3 years later, and Xbox released a bunch of consoles, all with super weird name schemes. The Xbox One X, the Xbox One S, the Xbox Series X, and the Xbox Series S. These all sold pretty badly, but to be fair, Xboxes usually aren't flying off the shelves in the first place. The PS5 kinda looks like Dr. Doofenshmirtz, but that didn't stop it from being a great console, with games like Spider-Man, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and Elden Ring. For the past couple of years, nothing much has happened in the world of console gaming, with the exception of the announcement of Nintendo Switch Sports, which got a pretty mixed response. It doesn't feel anything like the original Wii Sports, but is clearly trying to mimic its success. I guess we'll have to wait for it to come out. But that's my brief history of consoles. I hope you learned something. I spent 2 weeks on this video, so please, if you enjoyed, smash subscribe, smash like. Anyways, see you next time. Until then, goodbye.
Guess I'm giving off some type of energy. So fresh, so fly, like no gravity. When my jeans felt low, like I'm straight out the 90s. Slow-mo strut, make the boys double eye me. I got a